Nixon.
And why are you here today?
To help support our ULP strike.
And why do you think they're taking a hard line against your members?
Because they don't think any better than what they do.
Where do you work at?
Right here, Port of Oakland, at the airport.
What kind of work do you do?
Custodial.
And what are they trying to take away from you?
I would say our dignity and respect.
Rise up!
What's your name?
Valoria Russell Benson.
You work here at the airport?
No, I don't.
You're supporting them?
Yes, I am.
Where do you work at?
Laguna Honda Hospital in San Francisco.
And are they trying to do the same thing over there?
Yes, they've been trying to do it for the longest, but we're supporting all through Northern California. We're supporting.
What department?
Airport facilities.
And what do you think the effect of this strike is going to be tomorrow?
Well, hopefully it'll wake them up.
Why are they not responding to the union?
Because they've stalled for 16 months on a contract. Stall, stall, stall.
They say they don't have any money?
Well, they said it was an economic hardship. Then they said it was for future savings. And the whole time they were hiding the fact that they'd had $35 million in profits. Yeah.
And this executive himself was spending money, apparently.
Oh, yeah.
What's that about?
We got laid off and they got laid.
What's your name?
And that's a fact. Philip Stewart.
What kind of job do you do?
I'm an ESE here, an equipment systems engineer, and I'm also the vice president of the local union.
You think the longshoremen are going to honor your picket lines tomorrow morning?
Absolutely.
Now, the other thing is they're apparently firing the fast food workers here, United HERE, who are trying to organize a union. Isn't that illegal?
What they've done is they've tried to bring in non-union, even though they have a requirement to have union here at the airport. So as far as the circumstances of that, I'm not entirely sure, but at least 50% are non-union here and don't make the prevailing wage.
Is that part of the outsourcing plan?
I'm sure it is, but that's part of Host, who manages all the concessions here at the airport.
Do you think that the attack on the airport workers is part of the whole kind of national campaign to attack you?
Absolutely. They want to turn the clock back, way back. And they want to take overtime rules, work rules. They want to change a lot of things. We started out with 42 takeaways.
What are you down to now?
Well, they want to impose strictly the monetary items that are remaining, which work.
Well, the cost of living in the Bay Area isn't decreasing, is it?
It's astronomical. You know, you got to live here. You know that.
So in other words, even though they know that the cost of living isn't decreasing, they want you to take pay cuts.
Absolutely. And they're you know, I don't know what it is, but they're not responsive at all. They've never had takebacks here like this ever.
Now, what about this board here? They're appointed by the mayor. Where does Mayor Quan stand on this issue?
I think Mayor Quan is actually going to be surprised at the strike. I'm not sure, but she has been out of the loop on the whole thing. She's never gotten involved as far as I know. The board is appointed by the mayor as appointees, and then they're voted on by the board to become board members. And they're completely out of touch.
Do you think they need more labor representatives on the board?
Well, they have labor representatives, and they are not labor friendly.
The labor representatives aren't labor friendly?
Gonzalez is the president of the board commissioners. She's a labor attorney and voted to impose against us.
She's actually voting to impose these attacks?
The only one that didn't vote, I'm pretty sure Victor Uno didn't, but he admonished the union for not negotiating. And the fact is we have negotiated, and they have always wanted more and more and more. They've never given up any except for little tiny things like safety shoes and safety jackets. It's crazy.
Well, he's married to Josie Camacho, the head of the Allenby Labor Council. Why would he admonish you for not properly negotiating?
Well, they think we had a tentative agreement that was voted down. 99% voted no.
So that was a concession agreement?
Yes.
And the members didn't want it?
No. It was thoroughly rejected.
Your name again?
Philip Stewart. Take money, and municipalities that don't make money, they all want takebacks.
Despite the fact that the port is making a profit?
That we make money, and despite the fact that a municipality makes money, they still want takebacks. It's just the situation the economy's in, and they're clearly taking advantage of the situation.
How long have you worked for the port?
5 years.
You like working at the port?
Oh, it's a wonderful place to work. However, they have some recalcitrant management. And I worked 16 years at United Airlines, and they went bankrupt, and they robbed my pension. And I had to come and find another job. I couldn't retire because of United Airlines.
So it's from one looting to another?
Exactly. It's from jumping out of the fire into the pot.
But the key element is a critical financial information that the port refused to provide us in a timely fashion in order to negotiate a fair and equitable contract for our members here at the port.
You got to put the...
Okay, I'll leave the microphone.
There you go. Yeah, keep the microphone.
We've been without a contract, as our president Roxanne Sanchez said, for more than 16 months. And we are not even at the bargaining table right now. We have asked the port to come back to the table and negotiate, and they have yet to respond with definite times and dates to return immediately to the bargaining table to meet with our team to settle this. The port talks about investing in the future of the port. Our workers are the key to that future. What about investing in us? Talking about investing in the future of the port and not including the workers essential to the safe and smooth operation of this port is an insult and a slap in the face.
Yes, it is.
It is apparent that the port leadership is not taking us seriously as labor. But when does the 1% ever take the 99% seriously? When we make them. And that is why we're out here tonight, so that they will see and understand that we are serious about getting a contract. We care about this community. We care about this port. We work very hard at this port to make it a safe place, and we are appreciative of every one of you that have come out here, community and labor alike, to show solidarity with us and support for workers, not just here at the port, but all across California and all across the United States.
So, my union represents 22,000 workers at the University of California. We are the service workers at every 10 campuses and med centers, the frontline patient care workers there serving 200,000 students a year, 1 million patients a year. And we're in contract bargaining right now as well. We've got one expired contract, the other one's going down. And
Okay, what's your name?
My name is Gino Valenti.
And are you a port worker?
Yes, I am. I'm a painter for the airport.
And why are you out here today?
We're here for an unfair labor practice strike. We voted on it, and we had an overwhelming 90% to go on strike for ULP for unfair labor practice. They have been going, our contract's supposed to go month to month, and the port has violated those rules. And so basically they're breaking the law. So we the members, voted to go on a one-day strike, and that's why we're out here today.
Why are they taking a hard line against the union?
Because basically the person that Omar, the one that retired,
Even was involved in the
in all the scandals and all the money.
Okay, get closer.
And all the scandals and everything. They basically said they want concessions because of the environment. Everybody else has to take in concessions, but we are generating money. We are not private sector. We are a for-profit enterprise. We are a subdivision of the city. We are to make money to give back to the city. We make profit to give to the city, and we are making money, and they want to take it away, and we basically just want to be left alone.
And what kind of concessions do they want?
Oh, there's
what do they want to take away?
There's 40.
Give me some examples.
I can't even remember all of them. They want cuts. There's 47 of them. They wanted 47 takeaways, and all we asked was just to be left alone. They're making money, and all we want to be is just left alone.
Now, you have a Democratic mayor, Mayor Quan. She appoints the board of directors. Why is this board taking such a hard line? I mean, are supposed to be Democratic people?
We have no idea why they're doing this. If you could tell us, we would know then. We can't believe it's going on like this. They are right now at the last minute trying to turn it around on us. You'll see in the news them trying to spin it back on us.
So they're still trying to blame the union?
Oh yeah, they're going to try to blame the union for this. Oh yeah, definitely. And we voted on this over 2 weeks ago. By 90% of our members voted to strike. We publicized the strike. It's been sanctioned. A strike sanction has been in place for 6 months. So how they can tell us now they didn't know that this was coming is beyond me.
Now, one of the clauses I understand that they wanted in the contract was that you would have to cross picket lines. A no strike clause in your contract, other picket lines you would have to cross?
I believe that was one of the original takeaways. They wanted a no strike clause, but that's not going to happen.
You're not interested in?
No, that's not going to happen. That's just not going to happen. As you can see by the support, if you go down to the airport, there's probably 60, 80 people. The Unite Here people that work in the concessions, they're helping us with our picket lines down there, as we will help them with their picket lines when they throw up picket lines when they go on strike.
Now, they've also been harassed. They've been firing union organizers at the airport who are members or supporters of the union.
Yes, they have. And it's
Isn't that illegal?
It's illegal and it's unjust. I mean, the port thinks they can do whatever they want, and they don't realize that they're a public agency. That's why they got caught for all the spending.
But they're also violating the law when they fire people who want to have a union. Isn't that illegal?
Yes, it is illegal, and that's why we're here on an unfair labor practice. It's an illegal charge. So basically that's why we're here, is because they're breaking the law. And we're tired of them breaking the law.
So this is a one-day strike. You think if you don't get action, you're going to have an ongoing strike?
I don't know if we'll have to wait and see on the ongoing strike. That's something I can't comment on. I'm not on the negotiating team, but most of my members are willing to.
How long, have you ever been on strike before?
No.
How long have you worked at the port?
I worked for the city since 2000. I've worked for the airport for a year.
So you're a long-time city employee?
Yes, I am.
So do you think this is part of the general attack on organized labor in this country, concession bargaining and trying to get the unions to give up what they want?
Yes, that's what I told you. That's why I was saying Omar actually came out and told us that, because everybody...
What did he say?
He said we're doing it because of the climate. The climate is unions are folding, Wisconsin and everything are taking concessions. But like I said before, we generate money. We make money. We don't have to worry about our tax revenue dropping off the face of the earth. We are in there. We're constantly making money.
So the port is not poor?
The port is far from being poor. As much as they want to cry and say they're poor, I mean, it's just like you can cook the books any way you want. You can hide money and call it anything you want.
But they have money for strip shows.
They have money for exactly. They have money. And back in 08, we had layoff days and all kinds of stuff, and they're out at strip shows. I've heard reports of 400 to 800,000 in misappropriated funds that they're spending. So I mean, it
sounds like it's out of control.
It sounds very much out of control. We're hoping that the news, media, and everything pulls it all back into perspective.
You don't think it's some kind of picket line that you shouldn't support?
No, we should support it. You see, we're going to need their help too.
Your contract is coming up too.
Yes.
Seems like the nurses and everybody else, everybody's coming up.
Right, that's right.
What's behind this thing? There seems to be a general anti-labor move going on in this country.
I really don't know. When I woke up this morning, I saw it on the news that they was picketing out here, and that's about all I can say about that. I don't know. I'm trying to get some information now. You
haven't been told to cross a picket line.
No, we don't cross no legitimate picket line. We don't cross that right now.
You may be on strike yourself, though.
Right. We'd never know.
The Northwest, the grain workers, they may be on strike. It seems like there's an anti-labor offensive going on in this country.
Yeah, it does. It definitely does.
Mm-hmm. The bosses want to take away the benefits and conditions?
Yes.
And you're a member of?
Local 10, ILWU.
Watch your back, do you know?
Thank you.
Alfonso Loera, the president of the Port of Oakand chapter of SEIU 1021.
And how long have you been negotiating, Al?
16, 17 months.
And what's it like?
It's unusual in the fact that to bargain, you anticipate or you expect to have someone who will dialogue with you, exchange views, ideas, and so forth. Sadly for the ports team, they have no one on their team, with one possible exception, who knows how the port really works. And so they can't answer questions, they can't provide information. They constantly say, okay, we'll get back to you, and it could be the next day, or weeks later, or months later. In fact, as recently as yesterday, information we had requested, we received a packet from the port. Hopefully it's information we requested 3 months ago.
What kind of information are you requesting?
Financial information that will help us determine, in fact or not, the port is in a crunch or not.
Are they telling you it isn't a crunch?
Oh, they constantly fall back on they're hurting on money, even though we know they have, as they say, a $37 million operating revenue in the chest, right? We call it a surplus, they call it operating revenue. But in addition to that, we also know there's roughly $40 million on contractual services, which has increased over the last 10 years 3 to 4 times over. To such a degree, for example, the current the director of the Port of Oakland, Deborah Eddie Flint, was in charge of aviation. The contractual services for work a lot of our folks will be doing exceeds the total payroll for all port personnel, including administrators at the airport. So it's 100% plus. There alone, they could save $20 million.
So where's this money going in the port?
Apparently it's going to contractors. It could really mean that they budgeted to spend for contractors. We're not sure if they actually spend it or not. But the fact of the matter is, they're doing the work we would normally do, and it would translate into hiring a few more folks, which wouldn't amount to $30 million, wouldn't even amount to $1 million. We get the work done, and the port would save $20 to $40 million.
So they're outsourcing your work?
In short, yes. And this is in violation of the city charter that says you can contract if it does not result in the displacement of civil servants. and they're in violation of the charter in doing this stuff.
Is there any action by the city council to ask why they're violating the charter of the port?
The council is supposed to oversee the boards, because actually the council puts them in the office. The mayor merely recommends. They're the ones who put them in there. But the council has its own problems in the city because of the shortage of money due to taxes and so forth, and they don't put enough time into it. The commissioners, who are there on a voluntary basis, also who are put there, don't want to get into the fineness of the port operation, what they call micromanaging, and what I call mini macro. But nonetheless, they pass this off to the administrators, the upper level bosses, who won't tell them all the full story.
Well, there have been some problems or publicity about mismanagement, money spent on strip clubs by port managers. Who's in charge here?
The fact of the matter is, Omar was in charge. The director is in charge. The commissioners are in charge. But the problem is, who are they accountable to? And there's no accountability. And right now, the only ones who can make them accountable are ourselves, and we're out here now with this action. That's the only way we can bring them to account for what they're doing.
So the demands of the union is basically to keep what you have? I mean, it
was a very simple offer. At the very beginning, we told them, look at current contract, cost of living for 3 years. Took them 4 seconds to say no. And the person who said no is a hired attorney who earns roughly $500 an hour. His bill so far, as we calculated, has to be $1 million. That's $1 million wasted an attorney who has no idea how the port operates, and no one on the team who can guide him, or has teeth at least, to guide him to actually bargain. So when we sit down to bargain, we're looking at faces and no one who could talk.
So this didn't have to happen?
No, did not have to. Matter of fact, we implored them to, our position has always been this. 1, the port should be fiscally stable. 2, should be organizationally stable. No disruptions. We're very clear about that. So our demands are very simple. Current contract, cost of living. They could afford it. They pushed the envelope. They put 42 items on the table, a number of takeaways. They backed off on some, but the current takeaways they have on the table amount to 50% reduction in the current income of our folks. The problem is not the amount of money. The port has the ability to pay. There's no reason to lower the bar when you're able to maintain it and grow, and we believe we can do that.
Now, the port is it's a big port. It has tremendous traffic of containers.
The fifth largest in the nation.
And so they're making a lot of income here.
Yes, they do. And in fact, we believe cutting back on the contractual service itself would save them roughly $35 million additionally. Some of that money could be utilized, being a surplus, to pass to the city to defray certain expenditures in the city. For example, parks and recreation, infrastructure in terms of roadways and so forth. Employ folks in the city as opposed to letting them off. At the same time, port could also employ more folks and still make money.
So this would be beneficial for the city of Oakland if the income that they're getting was spread out to the rest of the city, the schools, and the rest of the city.
Most certainly. And the beautiful thing about the Port of Oakland is this: it belongs to the people of Oakland. It is not a private company. It is a public, for-profit entity which we all can derive benefit from. We all can become better off, and we all become a greater dynamo in Oakland and the region, and even nationally, in terms of being organizationally sound and fiscally responsible.
Now, the other issue that's going on here at the port, among others, is the Unite HERE workers. They were trying to organize, and some people were fired. Yes. And what's all that about?
Once again, it's a question of who the commission will support and defend. We also have a phenomenon called a principle they say they respect, which is decent wages and benefits and so forth. But apparently for certain friends of theirs, they don't got to comply. We believe we're all in the same family as working men and women, and they should be able to have a decent wage, a better wage than they currently have, benefits like sick leave, vacation leave, and so forth, and not be working horrendous hours, 12 hours stretches, 16 hours, without even overtime pay.
But this is required by the law, isn't it?
they folks get around the law. So the port is notorious, as well as some of their clients, of bending the law, finding the gray areas, and in essence screwing working men and women.
And some workers have been fired, fast food workers have been fired at the port, and for basically trying to have a union?
That's correct. They're trying to organize to have a decent living, like we all want to have. They've been fired. Hopefully in our efforts, because it'll be our efforts, theirs along with us and others, they'll bring justice to working men and women who work in the concessions at Oakland Airport.
And the now this is a Democratic mayor, Mayor Quan, supported by the Alameda Labor Council, appointed board, mostly Democrats who are on this board. The union member, Victor Uno, who's with IBW 595. Why isn't there support apparently on this board to talk about the ideas you're talking about right here? It sounds like there's a disconnect.
Oh, well, certainly there is. What happens is, for the commissioners in particular, they assume that the administrators of the port are telling them the truth. They've been told by the port's labor relations attorney that we've had dialogue across the table, which is it's a total falsehood. They have no one on this other table. Let me take that back. They have one person on the table, but who's not allowed to speak, who knows how the port actually operates. And because of the thing about not wanting to micromanage, the commissioners don't fully understand how the port operates, and they assume that their administrators below who run the port are telling them the truth, and that's not the case.
Well, the fact that you're out here today is evidence that something is seriously wrong with how the port is operating, the management of the port.
Most definitely, because the fact is, the last thing we wanted to do was to disrupt the port in this fashion. But it seems that reason and logic cannot overcome arrogance. And in fact, the disdain that the commissioners have shown.
What kind of disdain?
Well, the very fact that they keep crying being poor, and they're not poor. Their insistence on listening to the administrators who are lying to them. The fact that even some commissioners, when we try to approach them with the data from their own budget, look the other way. When the chief financial officer can't explain the contractual services going over almost 300% increase in the last 10 years, has no idea about that, and she comes from an outfit that there's all kind of speculation in the market, and now the chief financial officer of the port and doesn't understand these dynamics. Raise questions about the commission in terms of they have to put more time to look into the people's interests who they're put on the commission to serve.
Are there any labor commissioners besides Victor Uno?
Per se, no. Victor is one, and we understand that he has made some efforts, but there's 7 commissioners, and it takes 4 to carry the day.
And I mean, I've heard also that the management has said that everyone else is taking concessions around the country. Wisconsin, there's an atmosphere in this country of people giving up and public workers needing to take concessions. Has that been the case here in Oakland?
Actually, the bargaining spokesperson, the attorney Aaron Argenbrod from Jones Day Law Firm, used the line. And
what did he say specifically?
Oh, he mentioned the whole fact about the economic crisis and other areas, and other folks, and our union, SEIU, which represents folks in the city of Oakland, taking cuts. We said we understand that. We're also concerned about the economy nationally as well as locally. But the port is a revenue-generating entity. It is not based upon taxes, as the city is. The city can show a lack of funds because of the tax dynamics. That's not our case, and we told them very, very directly, look, we don't want any hassles. We're from Missouri. Show us. And so part of the problem has been they have not shown the data to confirm the fact that they are in bad stead. In fact, initially, Omar Benjamin said they were worried about having an income-debt ratio of 1.25, and strangely enough, income-debt ratio is 1.47, not even close to that. So there has been no reason for other unions at the Port of Oakland to take the cuts. Where they fought back, that's on them. We're not going to roll over so easily.
What other unions have taken cuts?
IBEW has 21, and Western Council of Engineers has been decimated over the last few years.
So the other unions have already taken concessions, you're saying?
Yes. In spite of the fact in their contracts they have a Me Too clause that whatever we get, they would get. So
in other words, you're fighting for them. If you win to defend your contract, you're basically saying you want to keep what you have.
What we're saying is the port can thrive. Folks can have decent incomes. We only ask to keep our heads above water. That's what the cost of living is about. The port has the ability to pay this stuff. They don't need to lower the bar. They need to raise the standard or maintain it. We don't say maintain the standard and not lower it. And that as we step forward, we can advance. And if there are dips in the road, we'll talk about that. We have no problem engaging them in concessionary bargaining if they can show it.
Now, the cost of living is increasing in the Bay Area. The cost of gas, housing, and everything else, but they want you to take concessions on your benefits and conditions?
Well, what we've done is this. Even though we know the CPI has changed over the years, which does not include gas, does not include housing, we understand that. And that's our concession. It's okay, we'll take the CPI as it is. As recorded by the Bureau of Labor Relations. We have no problem with that. But the idea is to make sure the port is strong and grows. Because when the port prospers, the city of Oakland prospers, and the citizens also prosper in the process.
What unions are supporting you today on this strike?
A myriad. The City Labor Council has our back. Longshore is part of that. Teamsters are also part of that. A great number of organizations in the community, as well as faith-based organizations, are supporting us. The solidarity has been tremendous.
So you're not going to give up. You're not stopping until you get what you need.
Well, the last time we had a strike at the Port of Oakand was 41 years ago.
Yeah, most of the workers here have never been on strike before.
And I, in fact, came 2 years after that last strike. So when I was hired at a time where we actually lost the strike. And in 1971, the port implemented a two-tier wage system at the very moment where the civil rights struggle was getting folks to be hired. So we had a two-tier system where many folks of color were being paid $700 less a month than their counterparts working right next to them. It took us 8 years to get rid of that. This struggle will not go in defeat, for sure.
Is that what they want? They want to get a two-tier back in?
They want a two-tier regarding retirement benefits. That's part of the catch they got in this thing here. We believe the port can sustain what it has. We don't have to jeopardize the future. We want to secure what we currently have, and also those who come behind us. Because our struggle is not only for the here and now, it's also for the future, because our children and our grandchildren will follow us.
My name is Elizabeth Alexander. I'm the Political Action Chair for SEIU Local 1021, and we are today on a ULP strike for unfair labor practices, and we're here to support over 250 workers who are public sector workers. The port is the public authority of the port at the airport and here at the harbor.
What does an unfair labor practice strike mean?
An unfair labor practice is basically that under the law, public sector workers are guaranteed certain kinds of information, are guaranteed certain rights at the bargaining table, and these rights are being violated by management.
And what have they done specifically to violate these issues, violate their rights?
They have not provided us with information so we can bargain fairly, and they are telling us, well, we have big deficits. They cannot prove they have deficits. And they've moved to impose on the contract, and we said we haven't even had the right information that we can to bargain a fair contract.
And what kind of concessions does the management want from your members?
There's over 42 concessions on the table. The economic, this is about the ULP strike, but the contract, the facts of it are that the total of concessions are both economic and non-economic. The economic is about 15% wage, would amount to a 50% wage cut for the workers.
And they're refusing to show you their financial situation, but they want you to take a 15% wage cut?
That's exactly right, and that's why we're not taking it. We're on strike right now.
And what kind of support do you have from other unions?
So it appears that during the night that Unite Here did not cross our picket line, and that so we had those workers at the airport. We were there all night. It appears that the ILWU is not crossing our picket line. It appears that the Teamsters are not crossing our picket line, and this is a sanctioned strike by the Alameda Labor Council. And notice has gone out to all unions.
And also, I understand that workers have been fired who want a union, fast food workers at the Port of Oakland, that they're discriminating against those workers and being fired and retaliated against. It seems like that there's a general anti-labor drive going on here at the port.
That's what it looks like to me as well. I can't speak to Unite Here's issues, but I do know that they are in a fight to unionize workers, and of course we support all union workers, all workers' right to unionize, and we support the port workers as well.
Now, this is Port of Oakland. It has a board, public board, who are appointed by Mayor Quan.
Yes.
Where is Mayor Quan in all this situation?
So I haven't been part of the meetings with her. She just started meeting with us the last 2 days, so we're hopeful that that she will talk to the people that she has appointed, but we haven't seen it. We're just waiting.
Why is this important to other workers in Northern California and Oakland, your struggle?
Well, it's time for all of us to fight back. All workers, union, non-union, students, future workers, unemployed workers, we're all being screwed by the economic recession. The reality is that there's still a lot of money being made, and the money's all going to the top. And it's time for working people, union and non-union, to stand up and say we're not taking it anymore. And so we're asking everyone to come out and join us, and we'll join you.
So what can people do if they want to support you? Come out to the picket line?
They can come out to the picket line. We'll be here till 9 p.m. tonight.
So we tell them.
I'm here just to stand up for the workers at the port. SEIU is having problems with the contract negotiations, and also everybody here is having tough times with management, and particularly port management. They're taking the city's money, and we don't get a profit from it. I live in Oakland, and I'm here from Occupy to support the workers and their effort to get good wages and good conditions for working.
What's your name?
Sandy.
Well, you say that the police are a little different, how they're handling this, than the past protests by Occupy?
They're not out here like they used to be. There's one SUV, and he's just kind of wandering around looking. I saw a couple black vehicles, and they just were watching. So no.
You don't think they want to fight with the union?
Yeah, it doesn't look like it. I don't think so.
My name's Joel Shore. I'm a member of the Sailors Union of the Pacific, and I guess I will say casual longshoreman, soon to be. You can add.
And, why are you here today?
I'm here to support the SEIU workers and build unity for all port workers. We're especially hoping to involve the truckers, we're hoping, but the SEIU workers are on strike today. They work at the airport and the Port of Oakland. They do a lot of work maintaining the roads, and the port is not dealing with them fairly. It's an unfair labor practices strike. So that's why I'm here.
Well, you have a Democratic mayor, Mayor Jean Quan. She appoints the port board of directors. There's one union representative. Apparently this board is not really interested in getting a contract with them?
Yeah, the port is not dealing with them fairly. They're not divulging the information that they need. We know, the SEIU, from talking with them, that they have a lot of money. And they are just saying that they want them to take these concessions because other unions have done it, basically. They're saying other people have done it, so we want you to do it too. Obviously, the port spending scandal has been exposed. We know also that there are a lot of dealings in the port here that Goldman Sachs has been involved with. They're trying to say that certain marine operators are being discriminated against as if they were people, and they're playing both sides of the fence with different marine terminal operators, trying to make it so that people basically don't have a decision over what this port is being used for, and that it would just be the decision of Goldman Sachs, these investment companies, they want these ports to be as profitable as possible. So obviously they're going to do whatever they can to pass legislation so that the port is under pressure to just keep the voices of working people out, so that things run smoothly for when they buy these different marine terminals and they flip them over and sell them to one another. They don't have to deal with people's complaining, safety hazards and whatnot.
So are all the maritime unions supporting this action or abiding by the action?
Well, a number of longshoremen have been coming down here and they're not going to work. This is a sanctioned strike by the AFL-CIO. The truckers, there's not many of them here today. It is slow right now. The economy, there's not a lot of ships in, but I think a lot of the truckers, they would support this, but unfortunately they're not part of a union, so a lot of them, they have to do what they have to do to survive, and some of them are, going through, and some of them are just honking their support. So of course the AFL-CIO unions are honoring this.
We could walk